Look, a statement was issued by the Interior Ministry to all media houses that says the government of Ghana has received disturbing information from Burkina Faso of a truck carrying tomato traders from Ghana, which was caught in a terrorist attack in Tetao, Burkina Faso on Saturday, 14th February 2026. The Ghana embassy in Burkina Faso is liaising with officials of Burkina Faso to visit the attack site for details and identification of Ghanaians caught in the attack. Further details will be communicated to the public. Signed, Muntaka Mubarak, Minister for the Interior and National Security. And he joins us on the phone now. Honorable Muntaka Mubarak, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Yeah, good morning to you. Good morning to your listeners. And thank you so much for the call.
Great. So I look at the statement and I just want to understand a few things. So when you say a truck carrying tomato traders from Ghana was caught in the terrorist attack on Saturday, 14th February, what's the understanding here?
Let me say good morning. It's just very unfortunate and a very sad situation that we find the South region and for that matter, Burkina Faso, our neighbors. As we know, our traders trade among our sister countries, and this particular one, where they go for tomato and then bring them to Ghana. And usually when they're going, they go with their own truck, and then sometimes they usually assist them. Unfortunately for us, this time, in this town, Tito, they were there, and then unfortunately, the jihadists ran into the town and started running up almost everybody, especially the males, and targeting to kill every male that's on site. And unfortunately, our traders with their team were in also that town. And they had to separate the male from the females. And unfortunately went on the shooting spree, killing almost all the males that were there. And then pinning them together with the truck. And in this instance, we have the very unfortunate situation that we had some Ghanaian men, because the truck driver with other 9 men, with 8 women, were on this particular truck. And sad to say, we lost 7 of the men, and 3 of them got injured. 1 woman also got badly injured. But the other 7 women were not really injured. And the sad thing is that the area is still called off. I have been talking to my colleague, the Minister for the Burkina Faso, the Secretary for Burkina Faso, since Saturday. When even the incident started, the information was very sketchy. We kept talking together with our mission in Ouagadougou and the foreign ministers. We kept talking and been updating each other. And the southern region, the 7 bodies are banned beyond recognition. And as of yesterday, we had agreed that they have begun decomposing and have to be buried. We wanted our mission to even go and witness the burial, but the southern region, it's so difficult to create a safe passage for even our mission to go there because of the situation. Because obviously the Burkina authorities managed after several hours to reclaim that city.
Okay.
So what's happening is that what they've told us, they will bury today, this morning, 10 o'clock. But our women who were dead, who are not really injured, we encourage that they should go and witness and take as many pictures as they can as possible. Once they promise us that after the burial, they will try with their military to create a safe passage to move those who are injured and the uninjured Ghanaians to our mission in Ouagadougou. So that's what we're doing. But I want to make a personal appeal.
Okay.
Because these women are there and they are sending some of the horrible pictures. I mean, I have all the videos and all that. I believe it's so unpleasant. my plea is that if you get an opportunity to have any of this picture, please, please, for heaven's sake, don't just be sharing it. Don't be posting it. We have names, but we are not willing to put them out now. We want to be able to know the families. How just imagine people just put pictures, you know, or maybe a relation has traveled to Ouagadougou or to that part of the country to go and trade. You've not heard from them. And then before you realize, people are putting pictures. You are not even sure if your relation part of it. Nobody has gotten in touch with you, and then people are putting these pictures. The panic that will be creating. Please, let's have empathy. Put yourself in the shoes of their family. That if this is posted, that your loved one is dead, and this is how bad his body is, will you be happy? I mean, one lady who is badly hurt at the hospital, people are sharing the picture of her burnt body. And please, let's be sensitive to each other. So my plea to the general public is, please, let's stop sharing this. That's why we try as a government to update you and give you information, just to let you know that we are aware, we are doing the best that we can to assist, even under this extremely difficult conditions. So please, everything is under control. Yes, I mean, we know the challenge of that part of the West Africa with the jihadists and all that. And that is why just about 2-3 weeks ago, His Excellency John Dramani called for a meeting in Accra where all the security heads were here, and then foreign ministers and the presidents, where we have the Sierra Leonean, Liberia, and Ghana. We met and we thought that, look, this is something that no one country can deal with it alone. And our citizens are intermarried, they intertrade, they move. So any of our systems. So let's work together so that we deal with this as a sub-region. Mm-hmm. And many of them agree. So we'll put in mechanisms and steps, and we are working on it with the foreign ministers to be able to do this. And we commend President Mahama for that leadership. And many of them were happy that at least we didn't wait until it affects us, then we now say that now that it's affecting us, let's come together and work around it. It is affecting our neighbors because, believe me, this is costing about an average about 44 attacks across the sub-region a day, claiming over 88 lives a day. Yes, even though it's not gotten to us, we saw the need, the President Mahama saw the need to call for a meeting for us to work together. Now look, just as this thing is happening, ours have gone to trade and now they've been caught in between the fire and they've lost their lives, which is very sad. I want to extend condolences to the families. We will try and reach out to them. We are trying to identify and see who the families are, so we will reach out to them. So we will be able to tell them first before we put out the names of who and who so far can be confirmed. Who we have confirmed through the authorities in Burkina Faso that are truly dead, and those who are truly injured, and those who are well, and we are making effort to return them home.
Okay, let's talk about trying to reach the. You know these people, as in their names have been provided to you.
Yes, one of the challenges is that because the way the whole thing happened, in the initial stage, the Burkina authorities could not even confirm whether they were Ghanaians.
Okay, but
fortunately for that, because of the women who were, there were 8 women, only one was badly injured. The other 7 are in a more or less stable condition. And they are the traders. They normally go with these drivers and the men to assist them on the trade. So they knew all of them. And they were also in the truck with them when the guys came and asked all the ladies to get off the truck. And then they went on the shooting. Those who managed to escape after the shooting and putting fire onto the truck, the women were able to tell. And then those who got bent in the truck, the women were also able to tell. And some of them, they even have their Ghana card and some other identities that we can use to identify them. That's why we are even currently talking to the Burkina Faso authorities. As they prepare to bury, can they kindly allow us to take samples for possible DNA testing, which they've agreed. So we are working with our missions. So that at least, yes, this woman will tell us that Muntaka is there, is there, Kwame is there, Mumuni is there. Then we can still use the DNA to do some confirmations To be able to match it and say, oh, truly it's Muntaka, it's Kwame, it's Kojo, and Wilson, something like that. So that's what we are working on. But the women who went with them, they knew those who were there. If all of them are dead, that would have been very difficult for us. Because we will not be able, because the way the bodies are, you can't identify anybody. But because these women took them there, they knew who and who were with them, and who had lost their lives, and who are alive and receiving treatment.
Okay. Now, when you say you've spoken to your counterparts in Burkina Faso, and they tell you that they're going to be buried today, right?
Yes. Together with our mission in what they call the Ouagadougou. But unfortunately, yesterday we were trying to make effort. My colleague, the foreign minister, Honorable Ablaka, and myself, were trying to get our mission to participate. But unfortunately, the military, they told us that the place is not safe enough for our mission to be able to participate in the burial. But what they will do is that they will encourage the women who are there to observe, and they will take pictures and other things. Then they will create a safe passage for the women and the injured to be brought to Ouagadougou and handed over to our mission. But the way the place is, our people cannot go there. They don't think the place is safe enough for our mission staff to be able to, our ambassador and the staff to be able to get there.
Great. A bit early in the day, but because we know that Ghanaians still go to Burkina Faso, particularly for tomato, and it's a place that is not so safe. I'm sure with this event, you're also looking at how to ensure that going forward, Ghanaians who go to trade in Burkina Faso are safe.
Well, I mean, like I told you, that's what President Mama took the initiative to say that, look, our people intermarry and they move. You're surprised you go to Mali and you see a whole community that's Ghanaian. You go to Sierra Leone, you go to Liberia, you go to Niger, Nigeria, all this, Burkina Faso, all these countries, not the same. When you come to Ghana, you see these communities of Moses, relate their background is Burkina Faso. You see people who are the settlements, some of them are from Mali, some are from Niger. So it's like we are one people. So it will be very difficult for you to say that I won't let my people travel or I won't let others travel here. That's why the Mama said that, look, all work together and try and create a safe haven within the South region by sharing intelligence, by working together to be able to defeat these jihadists without necessarily waiting for it to get to me. As if they're attacking our colleagues, can we put our strength together to be able to defeat them as a group? So that we create a safe haven within the South so that our people can freely move. Because the way it is, if Burkina Faso is not safe, there's no way Ghana can say that I'm going to create a safe passage for my traders or Ghanaians who go to Burkina Faso. If Ghana is not safe, there's no way Burkina Faso will say, I'm going to create a safe passage for Burkinabés who are coming to Ghana. Because the whole environment is not safe. Like currently our mission wants to go to Tinto and they cannot go. They just can't. You cannot just create a safe haven for all your people. That's why we have to work together to create a safe haven for the whole of the South region. And when we are sharing intelligence, and we'll be able to track movement and be able to defeat these jihadists so that they don't disorganize us completely.
Okay. Well, thank you very, very much for joining us this morning, the Honorable Muntaka Mubarak. And we'll get back to you in your quest to reach the families where we are, and so we know what to do.
Thank you so much for
the
opportunity to speak to your country. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. So that's the Honorable Mubarak Muntaka, who's Member of Parliament for Asawase and also Ghana's Interior Minister, telling us that some Ghanaians, seven Ghanaians, killed in the terrorist attack in Titao in Burkina Faso. Some also injured, and those who were killed were burnt, and so they are likely, based on the correspondence in Burkina Faso, they are going to be buried today. because the bodies have started decomposing, and so the authorities in Burkina Faso say they are going to be burying them today. They've tried to get the Ghanaian mission there to be part, but unfortunately, because the Burkina authorities say that place is currently not safe, so they may not be able to go there. But the Ghanaian women who were, who are still alive are there and would witness that. So that's basically what's happened with the terrorist attack in Burkina Faso, Kojo.
Yeah, and what do we know about Titao, the town called Titao? It's in northern Burkina Faso. So if you look at the map, it's about 44 kilometers from the Burkina-Mali border.
Okay.
And from Titao to Ouagadougou, for example, you will travel for about 250 kilometers. From Titao to the border, Paga or Navrongo, for example, from Titao to Navrongo, you will travel about 420 kilometers.
Okay.
That's about traveling from Accra to Kumasi to Sunyani, from Titao to Navrongo. So it's quite a journey that our traders take. And I've seen people on social media asking, why would our traders go all the way to Burkina Faso, for example, to go and look for tomatoes for Ghana? Right.
Yeah.
And then we are trying to understand the makeup of Titao. Titao is not a big town. It's an averagely sized town with some schools here and there, some regular houses, just like some of our northern towns, right? But then there's a lake in Titao, which has a total surface area of about 800 acres. And all around this lake, they are farming. So if you look at the satellite images of Titao, all around the lake, from south to north, there are farms all over. So agriculture, when it comes to agric, you need land or a holding medium for the plants. You need water. You need your seed. You need your plant nutrition and your crop protection. And as long as water is assured, people can farm all year round. So one of the things that I believe the Burkinabe have learned is that they know that water is a scarce resource for them. So they protect their water bodies and optimize the use of water. And there are lots of places in Burkina Faso where they farm with boreholes and all that. So whilst we are heavily rain-fed, they don't get as much rain. So they try as much as possible to irrigate. That's why in the lean season, when we don't have certain things, in the lean season, they have those things because they are farming all year round. So you'd be wondering, why are traders going all the way 450 kilometers away from the border in Ghana to northern Burkina Faso to go and get tomatoes? It's because there is water, there is irrigation, there is capacity, and the people are farming tomatoes. But the other question is, we have more water resources. Why are we unable to farm the tomatoes all year round and actually be self-sufficient and also export tomatoes and other things to the rest of West Africa? That's something for Eric Opoku and his team to start answering, because we've been talking about agric, we've been talking about irrigation, we've been talking about a 24-hour economy for agric for a very long time. It didn't start even with Mahama. It started from independence. How come Ghana, with over 54 billion cubic meters of water every year flowing on the surface of Ghana, we're unable to trap enough water, store enough water, build enough capacity to grow some of these things? Why should we import, say, 1 billion Ghana cedis worth of tomato-related stuff into the country? Fresh tomatoes from Burkina, tomato paste from China and other places. Why is it so? And so it's very sad that we've lost some of our people. And this should also let listeners appreciate what it takes to bring food in. Sometimes when we talk about food in our markets, people are like, oh, traders are this, traders are that, traders are cheats. If you are going to drive 450 kilometers from the Ghana border to northern Burkina to go and get tomatoes, and move that tomato also through the Ghanaian country, our own borders, all the way from Navrongo to Accra. So by the time you are done bringing the tomatoes in, you'd have done about 2,000 kilometers going and coming, with all the associated risks with the transportation risk. So by the time they transport these tomatoes from Titao to Ghana, for example, they would have lost a good chunk of that tomato. So we really need to, as a people, start putting pressure on the people whose job It is to build the right infrastructure and to create the right systems for us to be able to grow food. It is not easy to want to grow tomatoes. For example, to be able to establish, say, 1 hectare of tomato, you need irrigation. If wherever you are, you don't have water, you need to drill a borehole. Winston, the last time you attempted to drill a borehole, how much did it cost you?
27,000.
And then once you build a borehole, you need to have water storage. So you need to go to Syntex and buy some tanks. How much would it cost you to get, say, 20,000 liter capacity storage?
That's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money. Then when you finish, you need to get drip irrigation installed on your farm. Let's say a hectare of drip, conservative, is 30,000. Okay, 30,000 cedis. So you have 30,000 plus 27,000. Let's say your borehole is also 30,000, 60,000 plus your tanks, right? Then your mechanization. So the average person cannot afford to put together, say, 50,000, 100,000 cedis to set up these systems to farm all year round. But we can use the power of the state and the spending muscle of the state to put these in place. You see the whole thing. So it's this detail thing. It's not a trade matter, and it's not just also a terrorist attack. It's something which has happened because of our failure to consistently invest in our space to ensure all year round production of the key things we need. And at this point, Ministry of Food and Agric, national security. I always mention national security because food security is important. National security and all the other agencies that matter, they should be having this conversation. How can we ensure that at least Ghana is 70% sufficient when it comes to tomatoes? You can forgo garden egg sometimes in the year. You can forgo contomere sometimes in the year. But tomato is in everything. Jollof tomato, teaser tomato, fufu tomato, ampesi tomato. Everything has a bit of tomato. So how do we ensure that this red gold, which has been cartelized globally, the tomato cartel ruling, how do you ensure that we create capacity? If you look at Accra, for example, you go to Weja area, there is irrigation, the Weja Dam irrigation scheme. You go to Dawoina, right? You go to Ashaiman, the Ashaiman irrigation scheme. Now, the East Legon Hills people and the Santop people are encroaching, and the Ashaiman people are encroaching on that irrigation scheme. You go to the Sege areas, Adan areas, they have capacity. Then you go to the Ashanti region areas, right? Akoma Dan and all those areas, they also have capacity to grow tomato. If you go to Eastern region, Begro is my favorite tomato enclave. Then the north, you have your Navrongo and those other areas. So how do we build capacity of our farmers to grow at least 800,000 tons of fresh tomatoes every year? That's to feed industry and to remove this risk of having to travel to Burkina. This is only tomato. There is a bit to do with onions.
That's in Niger.
There is the bit to do with meat. Okay? You see, there's a conversation we don't have in this country. And we only have that conversation when some cattle headers would go and destroy somebody's farm, and then we just reduce it to Fulani, Fulani, then we scream Fulani. But they are the hearts of our meat production industry. They produce locally, or we buy from some of these places. And now Niger, there is conflict, Mali conflict, Burkina conflict. But they are also sources of our food. So if we cannot go and get the food, how do we become self-sufficient in those things?
You know, you make a very important point, but you'd have to go and get the food. And Total is actually the hub for tomato production in Burkina Faso, and it also serves as the both for domestic and sub-regional supply. So it becomes the hub. That's where a lot of people will go.
And even the water body they have, we have bigger water bodies than that.
You know, but
they build their capacity.
For me, the challenge here is what the sub-regional heads must do to actually deal with the threat of terrorism. Because for these terrorists, and this, I mean, look, if they kill soldiers, You heard the last time that they are paid to die in the interest of the state, right?
Yeah.
So if a soldier goes to fight these terrorists and dies, we'll come promote him posthumously, bury him. That's what he signed up for. So they will target civilians, and if they target civilians, they get the media attention. They create a bit of fear, and then would force governments to act. So what you would see is that this would not be the last attack. They will attack more civilians, and what better way to do it is than to attack those who are coming to buy food.
Yeah.
Okay? So if they're coming to buy food, they're from other countries. Now, this has become an issue in Ghana. We're going to talk about it. We'll get the Ghanaian authorities to begin to, get in touch with the Burkina Faso authorities. If other countries are affected, their presidents will also start talking and say, what is it that these people want? So then you now begin to look at dealing with, their request. And that for me is the reason we must act, and act very fast, real quick. If we don't deal with this threat immediately, what you'd realize is that the people become bold, and they increase their attacks. And all of a sudden, we are not going to become tomato sufficient overnight. So the very few who would be able to get tomatoes would add that fear, that cost to it for us.
Yeah.
It would shoot up the price of tomatoes, and we'll get back here and start complaining.
Fortunately, it doesn't take a year to grow tomatoes. Maximum 90 days. If you plant tomato, maximum 90 days, you start harvesting. Okay. And so if you look around us, and Winston, if you give me just 1 minute, we have a Shaiman irrigation scheme, Dowenya irrigation scheme, Bon irrigation scheme, Weja irrigation scheme, Afefe irrigation scheme, Aveime, Mando Toko, Mankesim, Ochreko, Amate, Dedeso, Kikam, Akomadan, Anum Valley, Sata irrigation, Subinja, Tanoso, Bontanga, Golinga, Libga, Tono, via irrigation schemes. We attempted to do the Polugo as well. And there are even smaller irrigation schemes in the system, in the country. We've left them for years without any proper investment. And these are public investments that should assure us of our national food security and food sovereignty. So it's the terrorists will do what they want to do. But when it comes to something like tomatoes, right, it is not a long-term crop. It's a short-term crop that we can put something together immediately to turn around. And I used to write on Facebook that if companies like Duraplast, Syntex, Water Tank, Polytank Ghana Limited, all these tank producing companies and the irrigation pipe producing companies, if we had a strategic leader in the agri space, he will sit with them, sit with the banks and the savings and loans and the rural banks, and get them to give irrigation out to farmers as input credits. Then farmers take these drip irrigation systems, farm all year round, and pay back. The same way we galvanize political votes, the same way we do all sorts of things we should be able to use the authority and the power we give our ministers and state actors to work with financing agencies, to work with private sector, and to work with the assemblies and traditional leaders and cooperatives to ensure we give them a lot of the money we also waste in the system. We need to start reducing some of the waste and invest properly in these areas, because tomatoes, we cannot do anything without tomatoes.
Yeah. Great, Kojo. Thank you very, very much for those insightful thoughts.